Welcome to the Postmodern Art Podcast, the podcast dedicated to giving artists who are wowing the world over the platform they deserve. I'm your host, Nathan Ragland, and as we enter the spooky month that is of 2024, let's take a trip to the office in the middle of nowhere for what should be, in theory, an amazing episode. Today's guest is DasGnomo, an animator, graphic designer, and self-taught 2D artist who's had a hand in several legendary IPs, along with being MatPat's art demon for Team Theorist. This was a guest that was recommended to me by the incredible Openak, and I cannot tell you how much I loved and enjoyed this conversation. Like, me and DasGnomo, we just hit it off immediately, and I know it's going to be translated, and you guys are going to absolutely love just the energy, the vibe, and the chaos that this episode has to provide. If you enjoy our guest, please make sure you support her with the links down in the description below. If you enjoy the podcast, make sure you like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. Leave 5 stars wherever you can. You know, I see that stuff, you know, it genuinely warms my heart. Speaking of subscribe, I highly recommend you hit that big old subscribe button on YouTube because we are currently on the hunt for 2,500 subs by the end of 2024. If we hit that goal, I will get my first tattoo, as designed and decided by the audience. So, if you want to be a part of that fantastic decision to see what I get inked on for the first time ever, well, subscribe to the channel. And look, if you want to go a little further with that support, I highly recommend you check out the merch shop at fourthwall.com with the link to that in the description below. We have some amazing designs as done by some fantastic artists, including the brand new logo merch as designed by Roshan Galaxy that you would look sensational in today. But now, without further ado, please enjoy the Postmodern Art Podcast.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah.
That's the stuff.
I fucking love seeing that. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, I have seen other of your guests also like popping out with their VTubers, and it's like, wow, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah. No, it's like, because a lot of them, they're more known for being VTubers than they are, you know, the actual person behind them or whatnot. So it's like, for them, you know, having that VTuber model kind of, you know, needs to be shown out there, you know?
Yeah, I know, right? Right now, it's like, I'm going to prepare something special for this.
Yeah.
So this was especially created just for this.
Well, I appreciate you putting the time and effort to do that. I mean, just like, just looking at it in general, like the background alone has me amazed and in awe, but like the way you kind of draw on yourself as well, like I just, nothing but respect at the end of the day.
Thank you. One part of me is like, man, I wish I was that muscular, you know? I need to get there.
I mean, I've been seeing some of the workout pics you've been taking. You're getting there. You're getting there.
Yeah, I'm getting there, but yeah, it's so much work, and I'm so lazy, man.
I believe that's why it's called working out.
No way.
I know, right? It's insane.
What a concept.
But thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know when Openak recommended you to me, I knew I had to have you on like immediately. So thank you for taking time to be here.
Oh, no, thank you. I just had to like talk to my team because if we're gonna like talk about LoreFi and such, I'm like, okay, guys, what can't I say?
I mean, I figured there was a bare minimum of just like, let's not reveal everything all in one go. Obviously,
Yeah.
like I'll say it'll probably be one of the last things that we do talk about, because I do want to at least like go through like, you know, the fact that you start off with like, you know, 2D graphic design, some of the companies and some of the IPs you've had a chance to like tinker with or whatnot, and then finally getting on to Team Theorist. Theorist, not therapist. Team Theorist, as you know.
We all need therapists, you know.
Yeah,
therapy should be normalized.
Therapy should be normal. That's why you should go to BetterHelp. No, I'm not sponsored by them.
Oh man, you got me there.
I know, right? Trust me, I at this point I'll just take a sponsorship from just about anyone. At this point, I would love to be sponsored. This podcast needs to be sponsored.
Yeah, if this is gonna make it into the video, anyone, Nathan needs a sponsor. He's amazing. So yeah. BetterHelp, whoever, I don't know, Capcom, Nintendo, whoever. Disney. I know why Disney is a problem now. Never mind.
Yeah, no joke. I was gonna say I've always made the joke that if I ever get that elusive sponsorship from Adam and Eve, I will bring on an NSFW artist just to make sure that that episode is compensated.
Oh hell yeah! That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, and of course that would be the only one out of the collection that I will strictly age restrict to make sure that I don't get in trouble for that one.
Oh yeah, this episode is not family friendly or whatever.
It is definitely not family friendly. So for people under the age of 18 and mom, do not watch this episode.
Yeah, mom and dad, don't show this to your kids. Thank you so much.
My dad could probably care less, but my mom.
Your mom though.
I've joked about it before, but like my mom has an issue with me like cussing sometimes on the podcast, mainly because she says like it's hard for her to like tell other people about the podcast whenever they tune in and they hear me like swearing 20 different times. I'm like, it's a casual like laid back conversation. Like I'm not gonna like try to censor myself unless I need to censor myself. Like my general rule of thumb for swearing is I'm at the same comfort level as my guest. So if you're comfortable with swearing, a few fucks are gonna fly.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with swearing too, but since it's so funny because in Theorist we're family friendly content, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to tone down like a lot.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
because you need to stop being yourself, but I curse a lot. Like you haven't seen me playing Elden Ring. That thing gets me, dude.
I mean,
But
to be
it's
fair,
like,
that's Elden Ring. That's like saying, hey, you're gonna go into a boxing match with Prime Mike Tyson. Like,
oh yeah. It's Elden Ring. It's a different level of stress.
Exactly.
So imagine I have to tone down myself so much during meetings and such. And then when I'm out, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play Elden Ring to just curse all the things that I couldn't say during work hours.
No, but regardless, like, especially when it comes to like the lo-fi stuff, obviously, I'm not gonna try to dig too much, but also like,
no worries. I am very well trained in the arts of keeping secrets, so.
I can imagine, considering.
You can try though.
Well, I figured if I tried to pry too much, you're just gonna, take me and yeet me into the black hole that's in the background right there.
Yeah, but like 2,000 years might pass in Earth, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Well, I'm glad I was able to find a stable connection to where I can get a little time out of that.
Oh yeah, the Wi-Fi here sucks.
Oh, I can only imagine. That's why I gotta hurry up with this conversation. No. All right, Noma, before we really get going, I must ask the icebreaker question of the podcast, if I may. Let's say you get to go to a desert island on your own accord. It's just you, alone with your thoughts. You get to kick back, relax, breathe. You can truly enjoy yourself for a little bit. With accommodations, you're not stranded on like a desert island. It's like a little personal island B&B out in the middle of nowhere, away from society for a little bit. To make sure you don't go further insane on this island, you can bring one piece of media or one piece of art with you to help with whatever kind of headspace you want on this little personal paradise. If given this opportunity, what would that one piece be?
It's interesting because I was thinking about this answer and I'm like, I'm going to read my paper. But that's not a piece of media. So, and kids at home, don't smoke. Just leave that to me. That's bad for you.
So wait, you're only gonna bring like a piece of paper? What?
No,
paper.
Okay. Vapor. To vape.
Oh, Baker? Huh?
Vapor. Do you know like these electronic cigarettes? Like
okay,
vapor.
Gotcha. I mean that's for some people that's an essential thing. I never consider that media or art. I mean, like,
no, that's what I'm like. But that's not media. It entertains me.
Okay.
But it's not a piece of media. But then I thought, maybe I have like a more simple answer. I'm a very functional person.
Okay.
But this is very simple. I would just bring my phone.
You bring your phone.
It's not like I'm gonna play, I don't know, Candy Crush or whatever. It's like tablets are very like a nuisance. They are very big and such. But with your phone you can have apps to, I don't know, read manga, read books. You can even do drawings on your phone. Okay. And if I need to be rescued or something, I just can call someone or something. I'll have my GPS activated in case I need to be found.
I mean, true. Although I will say, like, whatever I give for, like, all the amenities are there. So if something does go wrong, they got you covered. But I still think that's a good, like, backup cover plan in case something does go wrong on this island. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could just say, I'm gonna bring the Mona Lisa to the island. No, you know what? I mean, we will have a good time, just chilling, just me, Mona Lisa, just having a good time. But if you have like something like your phone or a tablet or something on those regards, you can just use all the apps on your phone and just do art, read art, listen to music. So I know my answer is the simple answer like you can ever get, but that makes sense in retrospective.
no, that's fair. And honestly, I'm not looking for like some super duper introspective. Like I would bring this absolute masterpiece because it touched every fiber of my being when it comes to creativity. No, if it's just simply I got phones because I got games on my phone. Like if that's as simple as it is, like that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, I can't live without Candy Crush. That's no, I'm lying. I don't have Candy Crush. I have Minecraft though. It's
Oh
very
yeah.
cool.
I mean, honestly, I think you have the better idea with having Minecraft on your phone because the possibilities of that alone. Um, but but regardless, your phone, that is your answer. You're locking that in.
Oh yeah.
Then, if that's the case, I cannot think of a better way to start the Postmodern Art Podcast. Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Nathan Ragland. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, or follow whatever audio streaming platform you prefer. You would look fantastic in the merch that we have at the merch shop. Go to fourthwall.com. Link to that will be in the description below. And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at PostmodArtPod for future updates and guest announcements, including today's guest. She is an animator, graphic designer, and self-taught 2D artist who's had a hand in several legendary IPs, along with being MatPat's art demon for Team Theorist from their office in the middle of nowhere. Welcome to the podcast, DasGnomo!
Wow, that's a sick introduction. I'm like, wow, awesome.
Right? Get you hyped. It's like you're about to go into a wrestling match.
That's amazing. Now I need John Cena's music. I'm ready to punch someone. I'm ready to punch someone. Not you, of course.
Well, I appreciate that because at this point, I hope we're like the tag team partners in this scenario. Like
Yeah.
There you go. But how are you doing today, Nomo?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's been a great day. The weather is much better here in the middle of nowhere. But I am very excited for this. I have been looking forward, like, we were like planning this for a month already.
Yeah, something along the lines of that. I can't remember the exact timeline of how long we've been planning this, but regardless, like I kind of said earlier, OpenArc recommended you to hop on the podcast, and I said yes without any hesitation.
He's amazing.
Especially seeing like the stuff that you've been able to have a hand in and the stuff you've been able to provide in one way or another. I knew it was going to be a very interesting conversation one way or another, and I could not wait for us to get to this point. But before we talk about the stuff you have a hand in nowadays, I want to go back just a little bit and learn more or less the origin story of Nomo. What got you interested in the arts in the first place?
It's a great question. I believe my first drawings were when I was in kindergarten. I was like 3 years old or something.
Okay.
I was a little eldritch monster, and I remember very vividly drawing T-Rexes with wings because I used to love dinosaurs so hard, and no one believed me that I would do those drawings, and it's like, nah, she didn't do those. Until one day they had to bring a camera to record me because it's like, no, there are no receipts. We don't believe you. Like, I'm glad that YouTube wasn't a thing back then.
Still the fact that like you at that young of age they had to simply just be like, okay, there is no way this person is doing this stuff. We have to film it down to make sure that this is legit.
They had to film me to verify that I was the one doing the drawings, and I was. And I'm like, of course I am. Like, I can show you like live how am I doing the drawings at 3. And I remember when I was like 6 or 7, I think it was when I was 6. I told my entire family, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna be a designer, and I'm gonna live outside of the country. When I was 6, I already knew the things that I wanted to do when I was like a toddler, and I look back and it's actually impressive for a kid to already know the things that they want to do at such a young age.
Oh yeah.
And I feel very, I don't know, it's like a privilege, and I feel so lucky in general to have been able to just do the thing that I wanted to do. My first professional gig was when I was 17 or
Okay.
something. Nowadays, you see so many talented younglings. Just they are like 13, working on One Piece or something, and you're like, "Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy." And for me, it was when I was 17. I started to work on a local card game or something, and then that led me to have not a solid portfolio, but a decent one on DeviantArt when DeviantArt was good.
Yeah. Yep.
And a company called, I think, Soda Pop Miniatures discovered my work, and they're like, "Would you like to give it a try?" That was a company in Seattle, I think. I might be wrong, but it was in the U.S.
Okay.
And that was my first international gig ever. And from that, I never stopped. I always wanted to, I don't know, try to work on other things. Like, you know what? I kind of want to give it a try to retail. Maybe that's going to give me different skills. I want to learn new things, but I was lucky enough to be discovered by people that were in the art industry. And that has been my life since I was 3 and professionally since I was 17.
That is incredible to hear regardless, like the fact that early on people could see like the kind of the gift that you had, and especially the fact that, as you kept progressing up to, like you said, 17 years old, getting like professional gigs and stuff. That's insane to hear, like regardless. I mean, I'm curious, like whenever you were like was it, words come back to me, no, but like I know you said that like at 6 years old you had said that, I want to be an artist. Like you were already dead set on that. Was that the moment for you that kind of went from just being like this love and kind of a hobby into a passion and wanting to make it your career?
Oh yeah. When I was 6 and I stated very clear that I wanted to be an artist or a designer, um, what I started to do, and this was all self-taught because I didn't go to art school or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was like 12, I used to go like to this comic, I don't know, classes, but there were like 2 hours and on my same school. It was just like a hobby. But when I was 6, I started to learn to draw from memory and to draw from reference,
Oh wow.
which is something that has been very demonized lately, which is like very stupid because we all use reference for everything. I mean, come on, it's
Right,
not
right,
cheating, it's
right.
just studying. But yeah, I used to record because I learned very early on how to record like shows from TV on my VHS. Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
I'm that old, so I was like, okay, VHS, I'm gonna record. I don't know, Sailor Moon, mostly Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball was my
Okay.
main inspiration for life. So I used to pause the show. I'm like, I like this frame. I didn't know what a frame was, but I like this picture. Pretty picture, go wild. And I used to pause and I would grab like paper and crayons or something and try to replicate it as much as possible. And
Seeing, I was say, seeing how you're able to like draw yourself nowadays or whatnot, I see the Dragon Ball influence, especially with like the muscles and such.
yeah, Dragon Ball was a big inspiration. I used to love Sailor Moon like a lot, but then Dragon Ball entered my life and I'm like,
Okay.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
I mean, extremely valid, especially with like the influence that Dragon Ball had, not just, for you, but like the world as a whole. Obviously, it's still a major influence to this day on all
Oh
different
yeah.
fronts. I mean, it's easy to see how that could easily influence you and really get you to that point to where, like I said, like you had said, at 17 years old, you're already getting like professional gigs and such. I found it, I could not help but relate with you whenever you said that like it was weird for kids at like 6 years old to know what they want, because I'm thinking back to like how I was like growing up or whatnot. Like I think whenever I was in what, fifth grade or whatnot, I said I wanted to be the president of the United States. Thank God I didn't fall down that
Whoa.
path. Thank God I didn't fall down that
You,
path.
you still can.
I
Let's go. I will vote for you.
look. Do you
Let's
see?
go.
Look, time out. Do you see how much of a clusterfuck this country is? I don't know if I can fix that.
No, I don't think anyone can.
Yeah, we need a reset button. Anyways, aside from the point, no.
I could help with it.
But I know, right? But like, in another way, like whenever I was first in high school, I thought I was gonna be a video game designer because I, was playing video games all the time. Why not help design it? And then I saw like all the math and all the work that went behind it. I'm like, oh, my head hurts. Um, and then whenever I got to college, I finally settled on being a filmmaker. and something that I still love to achieve. I just need to finish up my degree and get myself out there a little bit more. But that's why I've been able to use some of the lessons I learned from that in order to do this podcast creative endeavor and such. Some I'm guessing that for you, because in fact that you had self taught yourself. I imagine for you, your trail, your journey to get to this point or whatnot has more or less been like a trial by fire of just like being introduced to these bigger and better opportunities as you more or less went along.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's not like a thing that you learn like overnight. Is a constant trial and error kind of experience that you keep experiencing all your life. I mean, 17, I was not a professional like illustrator or something at all. I think one of the biggest things that people used to learn very late in life that I would recommend to like train as soon as possible is the professional treatment and talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because we could be very good at what we do, like drawing or something, but at the moment that you need to talk to a client or you need to talk to a company, the verbiage, the jargon, all the words that you need to use, and the
Yes.
processes and whatnot to follow procedures and all of that, that's something that you have no clue what to do with at first.
It's like they're talking about like like quarterly functions and certain angles and certain aspects to reach certain profits. And for you, it's just like, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? But say that in layman's terms, please.
Oh yeah, and when we are younger, we are our egos are a little bit like anxious and hyped a little bit, so we tend to take things a little bit more personal.
Mm-hmm.
And with the years and I don't know experience, you learn how to separate yourself a little bit from your art and not to take things personally. Um, Technically, your art are kind of like your babies, but there are babies that they are not going to belong to you at the end of the day. Those are literally like pieces of art that you're creating for someone else, and you at the end of the day need to understand that you're doing those for the client, and the client's needs are the ones that you need to fulfill. So as long as you can recognize that you're still a good person, you are
Mm-hmm.
not being attacked personally, and you can separate from your art but still invest that art with your passion and your own signature, you're gonna be fine. Just learn the professional part, the professional treatment with the client, and that's something that I think we artists need to do from the very beginning. It's like setting the ground rules. Example, some people that do commissions and such, they don't get paid until the very end, and then some of the clients bail on them. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, maybe learn how to get the payment the first half um, before developing the final art, and then the other half when it's developed, or the entire payment up front. And those are things you need to learn very early on, unless you want to learn the hard way, which is I also went through that so many times. So yeah, it was like a trial and error of from every single front. It's like being like developing as a person, trying to mature and um, I don't know, getting more experience like as a human being, quote unquote, and also as a professional. So it's just a matter of time. But I wish we could have like a manual of what to do from the very beginning. But God, no
Right.
one has the manual.
No, no one has the manual. The closest they have, if they, the closest that person may have is looking online, see people's prior experiences, maybe a few interviews here and there with people that are in that same field and doing kind of more or less the same thing that they're going to do. Kind of like, an obscure podcast here and there, like the Postmodern Art Podcast, podcast dedicated to giving artists who are around the world over the platform they deserve. Just saying. But
Nice one.
thank you, I appreciate it. No, but I mean, like, regardless, like I said, I imagine you kind of mentioned it, but especially learning kind of those tough lessons and really kind of learning, that business jargon for you, like I mentioned earlier, is it's kind of a trial by fire, especially with some of like the people you got a chance to work with and some of the IPs that you were able to have a hand in. I'm not gonna
Ooh.
lie, whenever I did like my research on you, I was genuinely surprised you got to work with like so many incredible people and so many incredible like properties. Like it is absolutely like blows my mind. Like I'm genuinely curious, what was some of like the first IPs that you remember fondly, like being able to tinker in their world and like draw some incredible concepts for them.
You know, in retrospective, every time that I do my yearly update on my resume or my portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm that lazy, I just update my stuff like once a year. But I see my resume and I'm like, wow, did I work for all this? It's like,
that,
was
that
that me? Like,
that's what I was doing whenever I was looking at the resume. Like, wow, you worked on all of these. Wow.
I would be right there with you, like, wow, I really? Like, I know,
Well,
right?
I'll
I
say
don't know.
like for example, like I'll list off the few that I have written down. Like you've worked for Nintendo on certain things. You worked with Street Fighter, Mega Man, Death by
Yeah,
Daylight, and such. Like those are
yeah.
just like Darksiders. Like those some of the ones like that. Like I was just absolutely amazed with seeing they had a hand in one way or another, just working with those IPs. I can only imagine like I don't know how young you were whenever you had a chance to work with those IPs, but it must have been at least like at borderline surreal the fact that you were trusted to like bring some of these ideas to life and bring some of these characters like to a new audience or like to a new realm.
Yeah, that's a very interesting. That's what I would like to call the snowball effect.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, we as artists, we need to put ourselves out there in the world, all on our own. No one is gonna do it for us. That's why I don't know. I have a very small server on my own. I barely post anything because there is no time. But
Mm-hmm.
I always tell everyone that is on my server, self promote to hell. I don't
Yes.
mind. Advertise. Put all of your I don't know giveaways, your portfolios, your resumes. If you need some work, if you are working for someone, contract anything. Just self promote. Because putting myself on DeviantArt was the key factor to get everything else, and that's what made this snowball grow bigger and bigger. My first big IP that I worked on when I was like 18, 19 was Darkstalkers.
Okay.
And I remember it was for this company that it changed their name like very recently, Jasco Games,
Mm.
that is situated in Vegas. Now it's called Universal Fighting System, UFS, I think.
Okay.
But after I was working with Soda Pop, I was doing like a lot of fan arts, and also artists draw fan arts. Don't be ashamed of drawing fan arts. Just do whatever the fuck you want. Like
Yeah.
honestly, as long as you're not hurting anyone, just do whatever. Like fan art, OCs, whatever, comics, animation, just do what makes you happy. Back then, I used to like a lot, like Morrigan and Felicia from Darkstalkers, and I was just
Ah.
drawing. I was just drawing fan arts of Morrigan. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna experiment with my new recent knowledge because I was like training a lot, like being on the hermit mode. I'm gonna just enclose myself for a year and see what I can learn.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna draw Morrigan just for heck and giggles. And this company, Jasco Games, actually discovered me because the person from Soda Pop, who was the person that I was working with when I was 17,
Okay.
was like, oh, check this sick Morrigan fan art that my artist did. Like, do you like it? And then Jasco Games went to my DeviantArt and they were like, would you like to try a test for us for like a card game? And
Okay.
I'm like, oh my god, yeah, yes, please. Like, thank you for the opportunity. And they made me draw not Morrigan. They made me draw Felicia, and I'm like, oh yes, oh hell yeah, gladly. So I did a couple of test illustrations, and they're like, you know what, you're in. Are you open to do more arts for us, and not only for Felicia but other characters? And I'm like, sure, like why not? And I was working for them for over 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
And then they made me go to Street Fighter, and from now on, from that point forward, it was just a snowball that grew bigger with other IPs because I remember Just Games used to manage so many IPs.
Yeah.
I remember we used to work with I don't know Darkstalkers, Street Fighter. Then I went to Mega Man. Then we were working with Soul Calibur. Then we were working I don't know My Hero Academia, Cowboy Bebop. So most of these brands were thanks to that company, and that's why I'm so thankful to them. Then thanks to them, I was also living in Vegas and going to the office and such. It was such a pleasant experience. But yeah, it was a snowball effect. One thing led to the other and the other and the other. And it was all because I put myself out there doing the things that I wanted to do and just putting myself on it and not being ashamed. Like, you know what? Maybe it's not my best art ever, but I'm just going to put it on my portfolio. And that's how it was discovered.
That's insane regardless, like especially hearing like that snowball effect. what started off as just fan art that you posted on DeviantArt of all places, especially at that time when DeviantArt was one of the
Mhm.
peak places for artists to go before it snowballed out of the public favor. But that's a whole different story. Um,
Uh, another different beast.
a whole different beast.
Yep.
I don't even know if the Eldritch horrors you know of can handle that.
Yeah, that's a true Eldritch horror, man. Even I'm scared.
But what started off as fan art really spawned into this nice little like 8-year part of your career to where you got to work on so many incredible things. And correct me if I'm wrong, based on the research, I'm assuming that Jasco Games, they were responsible for like trading card games or like online, trading card stuff, correct?
Yeah, they do. I remember they were collectible card games, but
Okay.
they were all part of the same universe, which is the system that they created called the Universal Fighting System. So you could basically create like a deck that could include characters from Cowboy Bebop, My Hero Academia, Mega Man, and Street Fighter all in the same deck, and you could just bring it to a tournament and such, and you could basically it's like a Super Smash Brothers from card games. That's
Yeah.
that's the premise, and it was fantastic because sometimes I had some players just showing me the decks that they were making, and a lot of them were just my art from different IPs, which is really funny. Like, oh man, like that's awesome! Thank you, what an honor.
Like that had again, I know I kind of illustrated it earlier, but like that kind of had to be surreal just knowing that like especially all these different IPs that you're able to basically take the art from people that love and recognize this stuff, put your own little spin on it and present it, and people like absolutely cannot help but love like the designs that they see, especially when it's part of this little fun card game. Like I it makes me curious out of your time at Jasco with all these different IPs and all these different cards that you've been able to have. Do you have a personal favorite like design or personal favorite illustration off of any of them?
Oh, that's a tricky question, man. Uh, I think some of my favorite illustrations were for the Street Fighter, the official board game that we
Okay.
created with Angry Joe. I remember that Kickstarter went really well, and some of my favorite illustrations were for that game specifically. Some of them even were for the card game, but were done years ago. And then
Okay.
they're like, you know what? We still like these concepts. Like, could you create the same like concept with your current art style? And I'm like, let's fucking go, dude. So
Yeah.
so it's interesting to see the before and after, and you see the evolution. Like, ugh, I did this years ago, Jesus. But but you but as a coping mechanism, you just gotta appreciate the journey, man. Because if you are looking back saying, "Oh, this art was a mistake," then you're just gonna be depressed every step of the process. But if you see your art as steps of a ladder that sometimes you go back two and you go up back up three, um, it's all part of a journey. So I just look back at those arts and I'm like, you were the prototypes, but you were good prototypes. By the time, yeah, I might not have been the perfect artist, and I'm probably never gonna be, but it's good to see the evolution. So that's why those mean so much to me, because some of them were remasters of all arts that we did for the card game that then passed to the board game, and it's like, wow, that I can see it, and I'm proud of these ones. Even right now, I see them. I still see the, I don't know, anatomic, some things, issues. Like, I could have done this better. But back then, this was something I felt proud of.
Yeah. You know what we call that at the end of the day? Growth. Character growth.
Wow. Character development.
Character development. There we go.
Awesome.
I mean, I can only imagine, especially getting a chance to like work with all this kind of stuff and work, seeing all these different IPs, having that chance to like really work with them or whatnot. I can only imagine, like, especially when it comes to like your graphic design work, like even considering the fact that the 8 years this is not too far from you saying I want to be an artist when I grow up. So like I can only imagine at that point how both rewarding but also how much of, well, to put it bluntly, how much work it was to really get to that point.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been quite a journey, and it's interesting because a lot of these IPs that I have worked on, I haven't did the graphic design for the cards or the board games and such. So it's like it feels like kind of an imposter syndrome a little bit, because it's like, I
Mm.
wish I could have done art from scratch for these games, but I only did the graphic design. but I did the graphic design. But it feels like I wish I could have done art. But for example, the My Hero Academia, that IP is tricky.
Yes.
Because usually anime, anything that is anime, Japanese anime, is tricky to work with because they have so many strict guidelines and they want to keep all the art in-house, meaning that they just want the Japanese studios to work with them. And they don't want Westerns to do the arts because they have very strict guidelines. And I remember for that one, I did the art direction because we needed it's very specific arts for that one.
Right.
And they told me like, hey, I know you're doing the graphic design right now, but do you want to do art direction for I think it's DSP, DPS or something, DSP. And they are in Japan and we need some specific arts because we are missing these movements for these attacks or foundations or something for the game. And I remember I did art direction for like 5 or 6 characters and I sent my sketches to Japan and they created the arts based on my sketches and then they came back as official arts and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'll take it. I didn't do the full art, but I'll take this.
I can only imagine if the kid version of you that was drawing based off of Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z could have seen that sketches that you did got sent over to Japan and then got sent back as these completed pieces by some of the animators that you probably admired, they would absolutely be losing their mind right now.
Oh yeah, I was losing my mind because this is the same studio that was creating, I don't know, the promotional arts, the movie posters and everything, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe they did this. That's awesome.
It's literally that like Paul Rudd meme of like, who would have thought? Not me.
Not me. Yeah, but yeah, it's this job brought me so many good memories, and God, I see my resume now, like I have it open here because I forgot all the things I have done. If you could see my screen, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot everything, and I'm not gonna know like anything to say on this podcast. Well, I mean, and I'm like, wow, it was all thanks to that company to begin with, and it's insane.
One, I'd like to thank myself for having at least halfway decent research and looking at your resume ahead of time.
I have to look at my own resume at the very last minute, so you're more prepared than me.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't come up with these questions until like last night, earlier today. So we're on a fairly similar playing field.
That's relatable.
I can only imagine, like, especially with all the hands with kind of that, like how, like, obviously it must have been cool to work with these IPs, but the aspect that I want to emphasize just for a little bit is the fact that you were basically doing like graphic design for that kind of stuff. Now, for those that may not know exactly what we're talking about or whatnot, how would you describe like working on graphic design for these things, for these illustrations? How do you add a graphic design touch to making these, illustrations look complete?
Okay, so the artistic part of just doing illustrations for the games was to basically create the characters doing certain movements for certain types of cards. For example, the person is attacking, so that's an attack card. This is a foundation. Maybe the character is meditating. You draw the character meditating and whatnot. But the graphic design part is pretty much like the user interface of a video game, but on paper. So imagine that you need to draw the frames of the card. You need to select fonts. You need to do art for the user interface. Imagine like a Persona kind of user interface that is very artistic. It's very free. It's very wild. It's not just, I don't know, Times New Roman, 12 points, a line to the left. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Put that thing on the market. Now, it requires a little bit of art too. You do all the stuff that is on the cards. You do the user interface for the board games, the board itself, the box, all the instructions, all the guides. So basically, it's creating the characters for the video game and the user interface for the video game, but in paper version.
Wow, that seems like a lot. That seems like it could wear down a little bit, like the more you work on that kind of stuff.
It's crazy. I was like wearing 3 different hats like in that work. which is okay. I'm the artist. I'm the in-house graphic designer. I was one of the two graphic designers because we were managing so many arts at the same time,
I
so
bet.
many IPs. So I was one of the graphic designers, and then you need to be careful, be mindful of the guidelines because every single brand and IP that is big contains a big like brand Bible. The brand Bible is basically a big, huge book of like, I don't know, it could be 10 pages, it could be 200. For My Hero Academia, I remember they had like six different brand Bibles and one per season, and each of them was like 200 or 300 pages long. And same for Coca-Cola. Don't even get me started. When I was working with
Oh.
Coca-Cola, I remember they had 3 or 4 different brand Bibles just for that season, and one of them was like 1,000 pages long. So imagine that you have to design and do the branding, all the material for marketing, or all the material for, I don't know, card games and such, and you need to follow the strict brand Bible and guides. Otherwise, they are going to reject it because you cannot just do the graphic design and it goes immediately to the printer. That needs to pass through the brand or IP first. So we designed the things. Imagine, I don't know, Capcom. I designed the entire UI for the cards and all the material for marketing. We put all those things in a document. We send it to Capcom, and they can say, you know what, you need to fix these 2 or 3 things, or these 20, or redo everything because it's not following the brand guidelines. And that's something. It's like following the rules of their own game so you can get things approved, but at the same time trying to put some artistic touch so the thing doesn't look dead inside.
Right. Right. So it doesn't look like it's something that, I don't know, people AI generated before AI generated was a thing.
I'll do an even. I'm drinking coffee, man.
Look, homie. I'm hosting an art podcast, and I cannot tell you how many times I've had to talk about fuck AI. I get it.
Oh,
I get it.
Jesus Christ. Just kill it with fire.
Well, let's. Sorry, just to kill it with fire took me off guard. I don't know why, but like I agree. No, but as cool as that kind of world must have been or whatnot, I'm now curious where in all of that chaos and all this incredible stuff did you get to have a little bit of access to the world of the game theories and such? When did you? How did you? For those who do not know, you were practically the thumbnail artist for theorists for game theory, movie theory, all that kind of stuff. Correct?
Yes, I
How,
have been since March of last year.
March of last year, so that's relatively recently, given
Hmm.
all things considered. How in the world did you get involved in that world in the first place? Like, how did you get involved with the theorist crew, and you know, what was sort of more or less like the first steps leading into this unique and interesting world of figuring out what exactly the theories are?
Okay, that's a funny story because back then I was moving to a different place and I was trying to seek for more economical stability. I'm like, you know what? I like all this grinding and such, but I need vacations, man. I need like time off. I don't want to deal with. Look, if there is any eldritch horror in the universe, it's the IRS.
Yes.
Those, excuse my verbiage, but those fuckers can find me here in the black hole and still charge me. So they are scary.
I say, look,
So
if the Joker is scared of the IRS, no one is safe.
no one is safe, not even me, not even Eldritch Horrors.
Exactly.
Bloodborne, everyone, I don't know, all Yarnum, no one is safe. Anyway, so I'm like, I don't want to deal with this like freelancer thing because you have to put so many documents together. So I
Right.
was literally LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna apply for some jobs. I was just revamping my website, my resume, all the thing, my portfolio. Like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I was literally, man, clicking quick apply or whatever, or easy apply on LinkedIn, which is like clicking one button. And I wanted to apply to many like video game companies and such. And
Right.
the reason I got rejected from many of them is because for them, card games are not video games, which is like, okay, valid. That's totally valid. And they wanted people that were already working on, I don't know, AAA games. And it's like, okay, so you want like a recent graduate that has 20 years of experience. Okay, I got
Yep.
it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
got it.
The classic conundrum.
That's classic. And I'm like, okay, got like 2 million rejections letters. And one day on LinkedIn, I see this application because I'm like, you know what, maybe this is gonna be interesting, and I clicked the easy apply thing on LinkedIn, and it was for Theorist. And you won't believe this, I don't think they even know this, but I had no clue who Theorists were.
Oh, oh wow. Okay.
I have, but I didn't know who Theorist Inc. was.
Okay, fair, valid.
My first, like, I don't know, game theory that I watched was this Skyrim video, an arrow to the knee or something, like 11 years ago or 12 years ago. But that was the first video I saw. I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. So I started to watch all their channels. But I don't know why my silly ass didn't associate the words Theorist Inc. with game theory.
Right.
And they're like, we need like a person that can do, I don't know, thumbnails. And LinkedIn was telling me, all your skills apply, because they tell you like, you have 8 out of 10 skills for this job, you can apply. And for that one, LinkedIn was telling me, you have all the skills for this job. Do you want to apply? And I'm like, you know what? Let's go. Like, let's go. Like, let's see how that goes. It was one of the 300 things I applied to, honestly. And I was already getting like the rejection letters because I didn't work on a AAA game before. Blah blah.
Right.
But I remember one day, it was like a month after I applied. I already forgot about it. I didn't associate that it was the same people. And curiously enough, I was during that month still watching game theory content and completely unaware they were the same individuals. And 1 month later, I get this email on my, professional email, whatever, like DasGnomo.com, whatever. And I thought it was spam. I thought it was a bot. Because that was a moment in my life I was getting so many, do you want to work on, I don't know, Bandai Namco? Add us on Telegram. I'm like, okay. No. Why? Okay, so for anyone out there, if you get an email and they force you to get into Telegram, that's a scam. So ignore it.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I was getting like hundreds of emails like that. Get into Telegram. I'm like, my life sucks. Because I was getting so many spam of things. And I thought this was another one. And I'm like, you know what? Heck it. Until I decided to read the whole thing again. Right. And I'm like, I don't see any profile image in here. It was a recruiter. And I'm like, you know what? This one is not asking me to go to Telegram.
That's how we know the difference. This one was like, we'll give you the 6-figure salary. We'll give you all the amenities that you could ask for. Sign up for Telegram. And this was the one that didn't tell you to do that.
Yeah, it's like, okay. Like, I want to see where this is going. Since I didn't see the Telegram thing. And I answer back, and I'm like, okay. I was doing my research first, and then it clicked. When I started to do the research before answering that email, I'm like, who is Theorist Inc.? I'm like, oh! I'm like, what? Nah, that can't be. So I started to ask some friends, like, is this legit? Can you give me a hand seeing if this is legit or not? And they're like, okay, bro, we see the page on LinkedIn, we see the website, we see the thing. And he's like, it looks legit. And they have the, theoristinc.com. Like, okay, this thing is legit. So I answered the email. I'm like, you know what? I'm interested. And that's how it all started. With me not associating the Theorist Inc. and Game Theorist were the same thing.
It's amazing how much of a resource that LinkedIn could be, to where you can sign up for what people are now going to associate you for, and for allowing you to work on arguably your biggest project so far, all just because LinkedIn was like, hey, this works for you, and you just click.
Yeah, I promise. I actually have it on. I still have it on my resume. Like, if you pull up the resume, it says, I would like to jump to the video games industry. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm just thinking, like, hey, in a way, you did jump into the video games industry, just not the aspect of the video games industry you were expecting, right?
And deeply is a curious thing. It's a very curious thing, because I'm like, why did they hire me? I literally put on my resume that I want to the video games industry. What are you guys doing? Just shaking their shoulders and like, what's wrong with you?
Thank you so much, but why?
But also, thank you so much, but why though?
Again, like I said, they are technically associated with the video game industry, just not the aspect of it you were hoping for. instead of making the video games, they comb through the video games. So, I mean, there's a connection there.
Mm-hmm. It's insane. So I remember, after that we went like through 5 rounds of interviews and a test.
Oh wow!
And you won't believe it, but my practical test is like, create a thumbnail. Here, have a very quick brief or something. And it was for a thumbnail for Logan Paul.
No, God.
And I'm like, this is completely different from everything I have done before. And I'm like, I don't even know if they're gonna like this, but I have like an idea how this is gonna work. I knew how thumbnails work because it's really interesting because I have been on this Rob Ross in a server, Gartic Phone server, playing Gartic Phone with the pals and such for a couple of times, and I think it was thanks to that server that I understood how thumbnails were working. A couple of my drawings, I think, made into the thumbnails for the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. I get it now. And I started to understand how they work. So I just applied almost my intuitive knowledge to the test. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to expect anything from this. I'm just going to sit down and just keep doing my freelance job just in the meantime. I was also doing contract job for another company as well, Level 99 Games. And we were working, I remember, on, what was it? No, it wasn't Dead by Daylight.
Yeah,
and
Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, and then it was for Guilty Gear.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't have that on my resume, but it was for Guilty Gear. We were working on the Kickstarter. And I remember they came back to me and they said, we love your work. And we would like to see if you would like to have a couple of interviews with Stephanie and Matt to just wrap up and see if you're a good fit for the position.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, all right, this is happening. So my last 2 interviews were with them, and they were great. They were really good, and I was still like, the interviews went great, but maybe there's gonna be someone else that is gonna take the job, so I'm gonna keep my hopes very low to not be disappointed in case this doesn't work.
Right. Hope for the best, expect the worst.
Yeah, exactly. And one day I get the call from the recruiter, and I think the first thing they told me was, you came into this process, you were almost the last one to apply.
Oh, wow.
Like almost the last one to apply. You came very late into this process. And I remember for that, I don't know if it was hundreds or near to like 1,000 applicants or something.
Good
and
Lord.
Yeah, it was a massive amount of people. And they told me, but we want to offer you the position. So what do you think? I was on the phone, like covering the microphone, screaming to the sky, like high pitch, and then like I'm covering the microphone. Yeah, I would like pretty much to take that opportunity. Thank you.
Oh man, I love that duality more than anything else. Like, especially like considering the fact, like they said, you were one of the last people to apply. They probably were like already going through some of the early ones, thinking, "Oh, this would be a good candidate. This would be a good candidate." To being the one that they go with. That's plus, I just gotta say, it has to be somewhat of a like. I don't want to say surreal again, but it had to be kind of surreal thinking for the fact that you had gone from watching like game theory videos and hearing this guy's voice to MatPat being one, Matthew Patrick, one of the last people that interviews you to see if you get the job to work with them. That had to be weird at the very least.
I don't know, it was surreal. I couldn't believe it for like months. I was like in shock for months, just sitting on my chair, growing a beard, and like, wow, what just happened? It was crazy. And I think the interview with Matt was just a chat. It was like you and I just talking casually. Yeah. And I remember I put my camera and I had like one of my maps from Breath of the Wild like on my wall. And do you know what we talk about in that meeting?
Breath of the Wild.
We talk about poop. Let me explain a little bit.
Please elaborate. I am curious now.
Okay, so I had like a Kirby like plushie, like, oh, he's a Kirby, yeah. I love Kirby. I feel identified. What is that? I'm like, that's my map from Breath of the Wild. Like, I like that map, and I just put it there. I don't know, it inspires me. It makes me feel like I'm gonna go outside to Hyrule, and I'm gonna need it to just guide my path to save Zelda or whatever. And then we're like, do you know that's the funniest about the Breath of the Wild? Like, and the most frustrating part is to collect the stupid seeds for the guy that upgraded your shields and such. And the last thing you get when you collect all the, I don't know, 2,000 seeds and whatnot, it was poop. It was golden poop. And I remember we were both cackling because it's like, I know, right? All that effort for just poop. So we were just talking about poop during my interview. I think that's what landed me the job. I think that was the trick. Talking about Breath of the Wild poop.
I mean, that's some solid shit to talk about. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that was it.
I think I found my Twitter clip. I think I'm gonna be using that a little bit to advertise your episode when it comes time. I'll tell you that right now.
I think that's what made me like a different candidate. I was talking just about poop.
Just casually talking about poop.
Yeah, no, it was a great call. Like, we were talking about like 20 minutes about the thing.
God, that is insane. And I can only imagine, like, if that's just like getting to meet Matt and then obviously getting the job after, you weren't even sure like what in the world was going on in the first place with how weird, surreal process. I can only imagine ever since you've been on board with Team Theorist, it has to be wonderful getting an opportunity to just like provide just doing the thumbnails alone, like just the thumbnail aspect. It has to be fun whenever they have to give you like a certain prop based on some wild theory that they're presenting, and it's your job to be like, okay, how do I bring this to life?
Oh yeah, that's interesting because as artists sometimes we're like, I totally got this. I know exactly how to do it. That's a lie. Sometimes, like 100% of the time, I don't know what I'm doing until I'm doing it. And it's really fun because you learn while you're doing the thing. Then you have certain like certainties. Like forgive me for repeating the word, but you have certain certainties about, I know, the software.
Yeah.
I have been learning Photoshop since I was like 17 again. And it's like, okay, I know how to do the technical thing on Photoshop, but it's like, how do I find the assets?
Right.
Are there any available 3Ds online? Can I take a screenshot from the game? I need the game. I cannot rotate the character. Great. Is there any Blender thing out there? I need to download it. I need to learn Blender. Mm-hmm. I need to take a render. How do I render in Blender? Then how do I do post-production? You keep learning every single time for every single project, and I think that's the interesting part, and is to be surrounded by minds that are very alike to yours, because when we don't find the right place to work or the right friends or anything, you feel a little bit of an outcast.
Right.
I'm the weird one. Like, no one else on my circle is an artist. No one else talks about these things. But then you jump in. For me, this is an experience. It has always been an experience just to jump into my thumbnail meetings, because we have thumbnail meetings to discuss the brief, the scripts, the ideas, and then, I don't know, deadlines. And we are all like this. Everyone is like this. And it's awesome because it's like you can just go wild and say the nerdiest shit ever. And everyone understands the joke. And it's awesome.
It's like for once you're like, I'm home.
I'm home. That's how I felt with the interviews too, because it was like an instant connection. Yeah, of course you want to be formal because it's a professional interview,
right,
or whatever.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you connect with these kind of things, and that's where I belong in this place. You can just see everyone in this team: editors, writers, creative directors, Matt, Stephanie, and even people in production. Everyone is like this, and it's amazing. That's why you feel like the sense of a little bit of family, that you can just say everything that is on your mind in a very polite way, of course, but is related to video games and films and food and style, and you just can go crazy, and everyone is gonna understand you because they're all alike.
That's incredible to hear. I mean, I can certainly get that kind of vibe, especially seeing like the theorist crew and the people that they have like presenting this stuff, and I can only imagine how it is like behind the scenes. Like I get a sense that it's more than just creating content for people to consume. It's a fun little family of just, you know, people coming together and coming up with fun, silly little theories for people to talk about on the internet. Like that's you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that feels like a very like cool homey vibe of like you just going back to like your apartment with your homies and then watching something and then talking about the most random things, and like, you know, wouldn't it be wild if this person was actually like a werewolf in the background or something like that?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's insane. And the curious thing is that sometimes, like, it's funny, but our meetings go longer because I don't know, we are having a very hard debate about is Uncle Iroh a criminal? It's like, but if you read the international laws about like war crimes, it entails this and this, and technically he wasn't doing that. So he met him like at the 3 hours meeting for thumbnails, and we started debating about if Uncle Iroh is a criminal or not.
I mean, to be fair, it's a very valid thing to explore, because like, especially considering like how the law is in that universe and whatnot, it's kind of really hard to dispute that in one way or another. I mean, there's a lot left up in the air when it comes to, you know, what exactly the backstory or what exactly the laws are in that universe and such. I can see how it can lead to a long discussion like that.
Oh yeah, and very serious discussion, like drinking coffee, and it's like, but no, man, listen, hear me out. This is how I.
So all of a sudden you get like the little representation of the Pepe Sylvia, the red strings everywhere. Like, look, just hear me out. We're gonna go from here.
Everyone at Theorist has one of those boards.
Oh, I bet.
Everyone, all of us, which is the funniest thing ever. But yeah, it's a very interesting place to work on, and it changes your entire mindset, because now every time we're like, I don't know, with my girlfriend, we're just, I don't know, watching a movie or playing a video game. I'm like, what if this character actually never died? And I present my theory why the character is still alive or something, and then I finish my phrases saying, oh, you know what, that's just a theory.
I guess in that case, a film theory.
Yeah, a film theory. Like, we were discussing about Resident Evil Village last night.
Oh, there you go.
You know, like, why does no one see the Duke or something? Maybe the Duke is part of the Mega Mai side, and he's like just a representation that only Ethan can see, because he's also a fun guy. He's also like a part of the Mega Mai side, and only he can see him.
Okay.
And that's why no one else can see him. And I'm like, but you know what? That's just a theory.
And if there's anyone that deserves the opportunity to say that, it's definitely you at this point, working with such incredible people and creating such fun thumbnails for them. It makes me curious. I'll ask this one first, but I have a good follow-up behind it. But like, in your opinion, what has been your favorite thumbnail to create for any of the theories, I should say?
Bro, I have my top one.
Oh.
The one that made me cackle, because it was the first thumbnail where I presented this new system. They didn't have this system when I came in, but this is something that I have been doing since I was working with Jasco Games when I was art directing, which is something that they do everywhere. It's basically drawing a quick sketch, like, we are looking for something like this. And when we were working with other artists, because I wasn't only an artist, I was directing other artists. So
right.
When we were commissioning or something, it's like, okay, man, we're looking for, I don't know, Ryu. He's doing a Hadouken. We want this framing. We want this, I don't know, composition and this camera rotation. Can you get that done? Or give me like a couple of sketches or counter sketches options so we can choose the best one. And I remember for that one, I'm like, guys, I have an idea for this thumbnail. And I want to present a quick sketch, quick couple of sketches for this, because I really would like for Matt to take a photo shoot for us, because it's going to be hilarious. And I presented 2 quick sketches for Eat a Horse for Food Theory. And I see those doodles and I'm like, they are nothing like the ones that we were doing, I don't know, for Style Theory, the ones that Markiplier was like retweeting afterwards or something.
Right.
They were literally stick figures of Matt going rambling mode, following this horse to eat, and the horse is screaming for their life. Those were the sketches. I presented those on the meetings. They were cackling and they're like, let's do this.
I definitely need if you still have them. I definitely need to see the sketches. The what?
Oh, I'm gonna send them to you.
Good, because I definitely need to see them because I'm gonna do like a before and after of like the sketch to final product because that just hearing the sketch alone, like oh my god, that's insane. That is brilliant.
Because the sketches that I was doing like much later, they were a little bit more produced, like more work and such. But for Eat a Horse, since this was an idea that wasn't implemented until later, now every time we take like photo shoots or something, we present sketches. So now it was normalized as part of the procedures. But back then, it was just like I don't know, shit and giggles. It's like I'm just gonna do it and see how this goes. But if you, I have them right here. Do you want me to share them in general, like of?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you if you just at least like send it to me personally, I'll be sure to like post them up whenever we're talking about them like later. Whenever I edit it together or whatnot.
This is just for your own reaction, but it's really.
Wait a minute, hold on. Okay, I gotta pull it up. Let's see this. Oh my god! The horse's face alone is worth it. Yes. Oh goodness, I think what gets me more about this, more than anything else, is like you see like the little sketch of like MatPat with like the cheap trident fork like rushing in the background, and then you have a very detailed horse in the foreground. I think that like the dichotomy of the two is what gets me.
That was, I think, one of the first times I was presenting sketches when we were doing photo shoots because it's better to follow images than descriptions, written descriptions.
Right.
Written descriptions can be interpreted in so many ways. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna apply my knowledge from Cap, and I'm just gonna do it here really quick. And I remember I did those sketches so fast, and I'm like, oh, I have an idea, dude. And I presented those, and I remembered back then we were all the creative directors and we were all in the same meeting, and I heard like a collective laughter at the other side of the microphone. And they're like, yeah, let's do this.
You just had that personal victory of like, yes, eat a horse.
Yeah, eat that horse. And then the photo shoot was so wild. So many pictures. And, oh my god, I have never seen Matt so unhinged in a photo shoot. And I don't think I saw that unhinged level until like the Style Theory Black Friday thumbnails. But that one was my favorite because going through the photo shoot folder was it was a pleasure and an honor.
I think the world needs to see those photos at some point because that just imagining unhinged MatPat is just an image that the world needs on its own.
Oh my god, I'm gonna check with like our social media person Ty to see if they can release them, but oh my god, they were hilarious.
No, absolutely. But that also leads to a good follow-up question that I wanted to ask, because obviously if that's the best one or whatnot, especially how you were talking about how the system was before to where it was now, I'm curious for you, what was the weirdest thumbnail to create? Like, what was the one to where like the idea was presented and your first thought is, how in the world am I going to do this?
I think one of the weirdest ones was again with Matt, but was for the Grimace Shake.
Oh,
because
God.
I remember we were poking Santi and Matt, like, dude, look at how many people are dying because of Grimace Shake. We need to do something about this. And at first they were like, and they're like, okay, let's do it. And then it's like, okay, we need you to kill Matt.
No other reason. We just gotta kill him.
We just needed to kill him. And I remember I was taking like a week off, like vacation. I was just taking vacations. And I came back, and the first thing they asked me to do is to kill Matt. And I'm like, excuse me? I need more context, please.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This wasn't part of the job description.
Yeah. Imagine like that gif where the guy comes in with pizza and everything is on fire.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was the guy with the pizzas and everything was on fire. And I'm like, what's happening? He's like, yeah, we're going to do the video for the Grimace Shake. And do you want to do the thumbnail? And I'm like, sure, like killing Matt. Why not?
Oh, that's insane. I love that story. That is wonderful. Like, especially hearing that, like, the experience you've already had with, like, Team Theorist, like, with Theorist Inc. and doing all this incredible stuff. Like, and that's just the thumbnail aspect alone.
Oh yeah.
We hadn't even talked about the biggest thing that you've probably had a hand in since you've been a part of Team Theorist. And that is this incredible new little concept that's only been around for a couple months at this point, and that is LoreFi. Now, for people that may not know what in the world I'm exactly talk about, how would you describe LoreFi to others?
Yeah, I'm gonna read the script here. LoreFi is Lo-Fi Girl meets murder mystery. Literally how Matt described it. But this is very interesting because it's also an ARG.
Okay.
Which means that you have to find clues in game, clues in the music, clues in the art, clues in the description, clues everywhere to try to solve the mystery of who's behind the weird events of this universe.
Right, right. And I mean, like, again, at the time that we're doing this interview, there's only like a handful of videos out for this kind of thing, but it makes me genuinely curious. How did this idea develop, or at least how did you become aware of this idea, and how did you get brought on board to be not just someone that has a hand in it, but correct me if I'm wrong, the lead animator for it?
Dude, that's a really interesting story to tell.
As compared to the other stories that you've talked about when it comes to Team Theorists, I think it's up there.
Probably, yeah. You know what? Now is more normal to me. The chaos is normal for me for
Valid,
now.
valid.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one, I was made aware that this was in development back in January, I remember.
Okay.
And I remember one of my team members, Dan Siebert, which is the producer and writer now, he recommended me with Lunar X to do the art. He thought, hey, maybe Nicole is up for the task, just let her know. And they come to me and they say, hey, Nicole, Dan recommended you. How do you feel about doing art, not animation, art
Okay.
for this project? And I'm like, sure, like, can you like tell me what it's all about? Can you give me like the specs, the brief, the details? I don't know anything. And they're like, sure, we're gonna have a meeting like in a couple of days where you can get familiar with what we're doing and whatnot. And I thought I was gonna have like a month to get familiar with the thing and such. And all of a sudden, in that meeting, it was like 2 days after this conversation,
Oh wow.
they told me, Nicole is gonna take charge of the entire thing, and she's gonna do animations too, right, Nicole? And I'm like, what?
I'll say it's literally that meme of like the Mr. Krabs like getting up from the desk or whatnot, and like the zoom going on like around the face or whatnot. Like, huh? What? I just got here.
Yeah, I just got here. And you know that this is one of these things that is only gonna come once in a lifetime.
Right.
And I remember very well, and not related, but also related, when we did the Creators in Fashion for Style Theory. I remember in that video, Amy said, I don't know what I got myself into, but she nailed it. I feel the same way right now. It's like, yeah, sure, yeah, I can give a hell with everything. I have been doing like some animations in my life. I know the softwares, I know how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my girlfriend is also a professional animator from SCAD.
Okay.
I have been just having fun with Ross and the rest of the animators gang with Gartic Phone and whatnot. It's like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll do it. Because I strongly believe deep inside of me that this is one of a lifetime opportunities that I just have to say yes. I was remembering those interviews that there's a YouTube channel that interviews senior citizens.
Okay.
And they're like, what is the wisdom that you have to share with the younger people nowadays? And one of those answers really stuck with me. And I'm like, you know what? That's gonna be my motto for life. One of the senior citizens just literally said, you're only gonna regret the things that you don't do. Because when you're older, you're gonna be like, what if I did it? Worst case scenario, okay, you fail, you learn a lesson, you move on, but you're never gonna get stuck with the what if question because you did it, because you said yes. So I was like, you know what? I could perfectly say I am probably not like a 20-year professional animator or something, or I don't know if I am up for the task, or I don't know what's the real scope of this project yet. So I cannot accept. I was like, let's fucking go,
There
dude.
you go. This is just literally fuck it, we ball.
Yeah, let's go, let's do this. I got familiar with the entire project. I was reading the scripts, I was reading everything, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what to do. So I just brought all of my previous knowledge and experience from all jobs, my previous jobs, and we just nailed it from that point forward. And we just it started to create the characters, the environments, and put in all the clues. It was really fun. It was an odyssey. My PSD files are gigabytes big, like 20 or 40 gigabytes each. They have over, I think, 300 to 500 layers each.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to paint on Clip Studio Paint and Sai on my younger days.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, let's see what's different. Everything was different. Like, oh my god, I need to get familiar with Clip Studio Paint all over again. But then I learned the software in record time, like a weekend. And I'm like,
Nice.
okay, I like the Matrix. Just put that thing on my neck, and now I know jujitsu and how to fly a helicopter. So it's like, let's go. So it was pretty much like that, and doing it in record time. And then I proposed to bring also my partner along with the project to assist with animation. And we're basically a team of two doing all the animations. And we have Chike, which is the person in the compositing, the visual effects and such. So it's literally just three people doing all the visuals for everything.
Goodness. I mean, to be fair, like, on one hand, like, if you just look at it at the face value, like, you could see, like, it seems simple enough. It's just, lo-fi music with, like, a lot of clues, hidden around. But if you look a little deeper than that, you can definitely tell that there's a lot of attention to detail on all sorts of different aspects, to where, like, even three people hearing they were responsible for all of that is impressive at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, it's massive. I strongly believe that the LoreFi girl and such, they have a massive team. I mean, they have been around for years.
Mm-hmm.
They are already well established. They probably upload like more videos than we could do, like three people. I don't know, in a month or something. So this project is like a miracle done by three visual people and a team of musicians. I don't know if we're like a team of 10 in total. I never have counted like the total of people that we are, but Jesus, this project is a project of love, a project of passion. And I remember I have been seeing like the resumes for everyone that was like hired like lately on Theorist, and they are all massive. They are all geniuses. They have come from, I don't know, Disney and other channels and whatnot. And it's like, whoa. So everyone here is amazing. Like, and
Right.
that's and it gives you like this safety to say, you know what, we got this. Yeah, it's three of us, but we got this because I trust this team and I trust our capabilities. I know what we're able to do. And I remember there was one meeting that they were saying, we need team leads. And who would like to offer to be, I don't know, team lead for the music team? This person said me. And then who for the visuals team? And I raised my hand. And I'm like, I have experience doing art direction in the past. If you trust in my skill set, I would like to be able to lead this team. And everyone agreed. Everyone raised their hands. So I became the team lead and then the art director for this project. And it has been an honor to work with everyone for LoreFi.
I mean, I can only
They are
imagine.
they are the MVP.
I was gonna say, not only just like the people that you're working with, but like the product that you guys are putting out. Like I said, there's only been a handful of them, but literally every little aspect of it amazes me more and more. Like the attention to detail, the little disturbances that the people can hone in on or whatnot. That, like, something as simple as like what is written on a CD in the background or whatnot has people like hyper fixated. Like, I remember when I was looking through the initial hour and a half long video that you guys dropped or whatnot. Like, I'm looking in the comments, I'm seeing so many people like identify so many different like details and so many different aspects, and it amazes me, like, both how simple this seems, but also how in depth and intriguing it could be for anyone that one knows all about what MatPat is all about. Like this is MatPat we're talking about. Nothing is as simple as here's some lo-fi music. Like it's not as simple as that. Um, it,
Never.
it makes me curious, like for you at least, whether it's the production aspect or like the details or the art itself. What has been your favorite aspect of LoreFi that you've been able to present?
I think it's the creation of the characters, and I know that environments are probably not my forte, so I also had to like speed up my knowledge about environment. But creating the characters had probably has been hands down one of my favorite parts. It's because you also have to, I don't know, you draw, and when you draw like a person that is angry, you get angry too when you're drawing.
Mm-hmm.
That is classic, that you get angry and you're drawing angry because the
Right.
character that you're drawing is angry too. So for Taylor, what happened is that I got into the character, and basically when I do animations as well, first we do like a quick idea of the framing that is going to be this scene. These are going to be the animations, and I record myself doing the movements,
Right.
kind of dressed like her, like cosplaying as Taylor, so I can get the gist of what would she do, how would she react. This she's this kind of person. She's this age. This is what she likes, and it's not only like the technical things, like how the foldings work, how the clothing or the perspective. It's also how she feels
Mm-hmm.
inside. So every time I was working on Taylor, I was like hashtag relatable all the time, because like I know this girl, this is my baby. I know her.
Yeah.
I know how she feels. I know how she senses things, the things that she enjoys. So when I'm creating characters from scratch, it's basically giving life to someone anew. And it's like, I know this, she's maybe, I know what she likes. So maybe she likes this kind of ice cream, this kind of, I don't know, drink and whatnot. She likes to be left alone a little bit so she can ponder about it. She enjoys music, but it's like creating life at the end of the day. And then you see fan art of the character online, and it's beautiful. It's just such a beautiful sensation inside, because it's a full circle. I remember when I was 17, one of my the first things I did was character design.
Right.
And then I remember it was for figures, for board games and such. And you see the figures coming alive of the characters that you design. And then you see pictures of, I don't know, events like Comic Con, or I don't know, Anime Expo or something, of people cosplaying of the character you created. And it's like, wow, now it's real. It's tangible. That's insane. They really come to life. It's basically creating life, and that's the beauty about art. It's just creating something from scratch that is on your brain, and it's not only you, because it's a collective thought. We get into meetings and we're like, this character is called Taylor, she's like this and like that, and you create several sketches, several versions of the character that we collectively as a team decide, oh, we like this, then we put all the things together, and boom, Taylor was created. So it's being able to have the hands and the skills to create a character that was everyone's in everyone's minds, and that everyone likes.
I mean, to go even further when it comes to that more or less like full circle moment, like you got your start in this business, in the arts in general, by
Mm-hmm.
creating fan art that you posted on DeviantArt. And like that got you your foot in the door. Now here you are creating stuff that people are turning around and turning into fan art, turning into cosplay and such. Like really inspiring people creatively to go forth and maybe follow their own artistic path as well. Like that has to be a very unique feeling at the end of the day, knowing that the thing that kind of got you in this thing is really inspiring other people to get into it.
It's insane, and I love all the finance that people create. I know that newer artists are probably gonna say, "Ah, but my art is not so good." For me, all of your art is beautiful,
Exactly.
because it's a path, it's a journey, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to appreciate every step of the journey. And it's the same thing for me. I mean, I started doing art and character design. I know, and now I am doing art and character design all over again. It's full circle, and it's a beautiful thing. And you know what, some people might say that going into meetings are so tedious and whatnot, but I look forward to those meetings, because we have them on Fridays, and I'm like, Friday is one of my favorite days, because I had my thumbnail jacket for a little bit, and then I put my LoreFi jacket on, and I'm like, I'm ready.
There
What
you
are we
go.
doing today? And we are pitching things, we're brainstorming, I'm taking notes, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come back next week with something sketches so we can play around, mix and match, put some colors on it, and boom, we have a character. So yeah, I might be the one drawing the character, but this is a collective thing that all of us at LoreFi we are creating together, and I feel it. I know it sounds cheesy, but I feel the honor and the privilege of being able to put my hands here and making it happen, and that is a feeling that like no other.
I can only imagine that. I just hearing you just going like feeling that love and passion you have for it. The more you describe about it, like it makes me both excited to see how other people, if they have not already, like go forth and experience this stuff. But it also makes me curious what you guys kind of more or less have in store. Now, obviously, don't spoil anything. I want people to obviously watch and explore this stuff, but give my audience a little bit of a tease, a little bit of a taste. What should they expect from LoreFi in the future?
We are planning to do things more often, which is what I can say.
Okay.
I remember that originally we had like a more like a bigger time span to do more things, but we're so excited with this project, and we're working on so many things at the same time that I can safely say that people can expect more things, more material, more story, um, more funny clues. Just go to Spotify and keep listening closely. I cannot spoil anything about the story, of course, because I
Right.
want people to enjoy the ARG. But God, we have put so many things on those rooms.
Oh, I can only imagine. There is one thing about the lore fight, at least the video, that I need to know the answer for. I need to know more than anything else.
Oh no.
There's a very specific detail in there that just it bugged me every single time I was watching, especially the video, the hour long one. On the desk, what was
Ma.
what was that green drink?
You don't know. It's clearly robot fuel.
Oh, my bad. God damn it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty obvious.
I'm sorry. You know, I'm not very familiar with that consumption or whatnot. So I mean, that's why it's not like the first thing, because it must be like a cultural thing or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I come from Chile, so we do these different things there. But you know, maybe it's not a coincidence that the eyes that are looking at you right now are green.
Oh, yeah. You know, you have a very valid point. I think we should move on. Now,
And that's all I can say today.
now, on top of all these different aspects or whatnot, something that I picked up upon as we were talking is, on top of all this kind of stuff, you're working or you have been working on a graphic novel. You want to indulge in that a little bit?
This is just something that I'm doing on my free time.
Okay.
Is honestly something like it's fan made. It's not gonna be monetized. It's just me trying to learn the gist of the thing because let's face it, I was frustrated of getting so many rejection letters from studios and such just because I didn't work on any video game before.
Mm-hmm.
Although I kind of worked on a video game before, which was like a tribute to Cyberpunk and such, another visual novel.
Okay.
But some companies with this is very debatable. I can sit on a desk with them and talk about this for hours. That they don't consider visual novels a video game, and I'm like, man, they are video games, and you can try to convince me otherwise, but they are to me. But some of these companies were pulling that card to not hire me because they thought me working on that project wasn't actually working on a video game.
I mean,
So
what are video games more or less at the end of the day? But an interactive experience to where the player is immersing themselves in a unique universe that they may not be otherwise. It doesn't have to be like 20 different buttons to interact or whatnot, or yeah, something
exactly,
like
they are still video games.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a fact for me. So we could argue about this all that we want with them, but for some of them, that was their argument. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And I was so frustrated by that. And I'm like, okay, if they are not gonna let me work in a video game because I don't have quote unquote experience on them, I'm gonna do one on my own because that's how that's how things sometimes work. That sometimes you just need to see things for yourself
Mm-hmm.
instead of depending on third parties to do the thing for you. Just go and do it. So I'm like, I'm just gonna sit down and see how RenPy works. I had no clue what Python was. I thought it was a snake. And I'm like, great.
While you are right, I think I get where you're getting at.
So I have never programmed in my life. I have no clue what that is. It's a completely different skill set to mine. And back then, and this is like a more of a confession, around like 10 or 9 years ago, Undertow was made. And I was kind of interested in playing it until it became mainstream. And I'm like, I don't like it anymore. I don't want to play it. So I never touched the game because it was too mainstream for me. And now, like 9 years later, my girlfriend was like, why don't you play Undertale? It's a great game. You're going to have a great time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow your advice. And I love the game. I love it. And it made me cry. It made me laugh. I'm like, this is a masterpiece.
It was literally that moment of just like the camera zoom in. You're just like, I get it now.
Yeah, I get it now. Now 9 years later, I finally get it. And I don't know how that happened, but the moment Papyrus asked me for a date, I was hooked. I'm like, it's like, yeah, this is it. I love him. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna do something fun, and I'm gonna try to do like a, I don't know, dating simulator with Papyrus.
Okay.
And that was my project. So I'm still working on it. It's super slow, but I'm intending to finish it because I am having fun. I'm learning so much. RenPy is a completely different monster that is merciless if you don't keep practicing because you forget everything you learned the last week. And I'm like, great. So I need to just keep studying the thing and keep doing the thing. And that's gonna be probably my first like visual novel project. It's just fan made, just love and passion, and just to learn. And my plan is to then do something on my own, just something completely from scratch. I don't know, my own IP or something. But I cannot do that if I don't learn first. And this is also for learning. So that's the main purpose of this.
Right. This is more or less like the test run to see how things work out and see how exactly to do it.
Exactly, and the community has been amazing. I have been sharing a couple of things on Tumblr and such.
Okay.
And they are looking forward to this. It's gonna take forever, man, because I have no time anymore. I don't know what happened with my life, but here I am. But the thing is, I intend to finish it, and then maybe who knows in the future, maybe I'm gonna have something on my own, a new visual novel, or a game made by myself. Because since they didn't let me in any of those companies. Maybe this is the chance to prove myself, to do something on my own.
But that's just a theory, a life theory.
A life theory.
I'm sorry, I had to sneak that in somewhere in this conversation.
You had to.
I feel like it was my right, because in fact I'm talking to, someone that has had quite an impact when it comes to like both the theorist stuff and just in art in general. Like, especially hearing that last little bit, it makes me excited to see how that's going to develop, because if nothing else, I'm curious to see, like, considering some of the aspects of our interview and some of the humor that we've been able to pass back and forth and whatnot, and it makes me curious, like, the storytelling aspect and the comedy aspect you're going to have with this kind of game, because I can just imagine how insane it could be and how fun of an experience it'd be at the end of the day. And I'll let you know right now, whenever it drops, you better let me know, because I at least want to just figure out how insane it could be.
Oh, hell yeah. You want to be a beta tester? Because I'm thinking of finishing it with sketches first.
Okay.
And then just finishing the art. So maybe I'm going to do a beta testing just with the sketches and such. But it's fun because I'm also... all of this is retroactive in the end. I am learning so many new things for LoreFi every single day. Mm-hmm. And I am only like drawing faster, animating faster and all that. And then I'm like, I'm going to apply all of this knowledge to my visual novel. And then I learn new things on the visual novel. I'm going to apply this on LoreFi. And it's back and forth and back and forth. And I have been doing animations for the visual novel. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the stuff. And then all the same knowledge passes to LoreFi. So it's just retroactive.
It's just this weird infinite loop of, like, pick up skill, apply it to the other project, pick up skill, apply it to the other project, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Oh yeah, it's a thing of beauty.
It's beautiful. But I mean, like, thinking back to, like, all that we've just talked about, like not just the cool stuff you've been doing with the visual novel and LoreFi, Team Theorist, Jasco, all these different things, thinking all the way back to whenever you were 3 years old drawing, T-Rexes with wings and such. Considering your art journey as a whole, does it amaze you how far you've been able to develop as an artist?
It's just crazy to see, I don't know, the portfolio nowadays, and then to check my old folders on my hard drive, because I have been compiling a lot of my old drawings because they are scattered everywhere, and I want to just put some order on my folders. And
Okay.
I see the drawings and I'm like, man, what a journey, what a crazy journey this has been. Like, I wasn't expecting to get to this point like this. And yeah, I know that in my resume I put I want to get into the video game industry. And then I had a detour on my path, and the thumbnail artist job came in, and now I'm doing LoreFi, which is technically like a game. It's an ARG.
Yeah.
And then to kind of starting the visual novel to plan for the future for my own games. Is like, you know what? Sometimes when you have a very strong dream, you are going to see a lot of detours in your life. And it's not that you're not doing the thing that you want to do. Maybe life is preparing you to get to that point on a different way. And I think that's what probably my life and many other lives has been too. Like, this is probably not what I thought I was going to be doing in my life, but it's preparing me for the future, and it's giving me a different skill set. And it's not that I'm going to leave theories or something, but I feel at home. It made me find a home somehow and get ready for what the future was going to like bring to me. And it's interesting. It's just the entire life is preparing you for what's next, and not all the time things are going to come your way or as you predicted.
Right.
But if you have things in your life that come your way and you're like, but this is not what I wanted to do. But you know what? Sometimes you have to say yes. Yeah. You have to experience things for yourself, because you never know when you're going to apply those skills in the future for other things you want to do. And it's all going to come full circle.
It's like you said with that one interview. The only regrets you ever really have in life is when you don't do something, when you say no.
Exactly. Yeah, worst case scenario, yeah, you make a mistake, you learn your lesson the good or hard way, you move on, and then you do the other thing that comes next. But if you never do it, how on hell are you going to know how that's going to come?
Exactly. So for this next question, if I may, what if I make it a lot easier for you to say yes and give you the dream scenario, if I may?
Oh, God. All right.
Let's say I am Big Shot Mr. Moneybags. I come to you and I'm like, look, Nomo, we have seen all the different aspects that you've had a hand in for years. You are an impressive artist, and we think there's a little bit more for you. You just need that little extra, push, a little extra platform to get you to that point. We have access to everyone and anyone in whatever industry possible, and more money there should be possible. We really should be compensating for the animators right now. They're striking, hashtag sample animation, all that stuff.
Support animators.
Animation workers, Ignited, all that stuff. We'll focus on them in a little bit. We promise.
Yes.
Right now, we're focusing on you and you alone. If given this opportunity, what would be the dream DasGnomo project?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's a great question, dude.
I appreciate it.
Jeez, you're really making me use this thing inside of my skull. I think it would definitely be something video game related.
Okay.
Anything video game related. For me, video games are kind of like the ultimate life form of like art, because it mixes everything.
Yes, it does.
All the types of arts, like music, writing, art direction, the technical drawing, character design, and you can bring such a big team to create something. One of my life dreams is to have a studio on my own, and
okay,
because there is something inside of me that screams to share, like to give back to life a little bit, because I didn't do all of these things on my own. I was very fortunate to have people around me that were very good to me, and mentors and friends and people that believed in me, that gave me a chance. And I see that many people outside don't get those chances, and it's so frustrating because the talent, the skills are so high, and I feel that it's so unfair that not everyone can get those chances in life. And for me, one of my dreams is to have my own studio to create games or create something with a big team of very skilled people, give them that chance and do something from scratch together. That's my dream. Not to only provide for someone else, but to be able to be the provider for others. And as an artist and as a graphic designer, I understand what all this entails. It's a big thing. I was a professor in several universities in the past,
Oh wow.
and teaching is also part of my life, and I miss it so dearly. So that teacher, that professor inside of me is screaming, share this knowledge, share all you have, give back, give back to life. And I believe that having like my own studio, my own thing, one day is gonna help to give back a little bit to the industry that has given me so much.
I mean, I can only imagine, especially seeing like, you know, not only how video games are to you, and trust me, I fully agree when it comes to it being one of like the ultimate art forms in a way. I mean, I've brought on a good handful of like indie game developers on this podcast. Like it's nothing new for me to say that video games are definitely art and an extreme
Uh-huh.
form of art. So to hear that, like, obviously you want to get the opportunity to give back to that industry that's given you so much, like, that's something that I sincerely you strive for, whether or not you have the infinite funds or whatnot. You know, make DasGnomo Studios a thing. Like, get that out there. You know.
Oh yeah, and one of the things is this is a dream. I like super fair wages and all the things like retirement, healthcare.
Oh
Oh
yeah, no,
my god, it's
absolutely. Trust me, that Mr. Moneyback got you covered there. That's why I said, you know, resources to anyone and everyone. We're not just
oh
talking art.
yeah.
We're not just talking art wise. We're gonna get you like the best, you know, healthcare, you know, insurance companies or whatnot that aren't gonna like take an arm and a limb or whatnot. Like we got you covered.
Oh hell yeah, it's like creating your own Jurassic Park but going well.
Exactly. Creating your own Jurassic Park, but it's not trying to kill you.
Yeah, but it's not exploding or something. Yeah, that's it.
Which I feel like for your Jurassic Park it'd be a little scary because you're gonna give the T Rexes wings, and that's what scares us.
Oh yeah, my logic back then, and this is very interesting for a kid to think. I used to watch like documentaries about dinosaurs and such,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, I love the T-Rexes because of the tiny hands and such. But then I was thinking they cannot grab things and they fall in the water and die or whatever because of the land before time, and they just die or
So,
whatever. They have no chance.
so you're just trying to give the T Rexes a chance. That's why you gave them the wings.
Yes, yes. I was trying to give the T-Rexes a chance.
That's adorable. I don't care what anyone says. That is adorable more than anything else.
And I remember I would cry because of the T-Rexes and their tiny hands, and I'm like, oh no. Everyone else has like four legs and such. They can fly, and then there are T-Rexes and their big heads and their small hands. And I would cry because of the T-Rexes, so I would just give them wings.
That, like I said, that is adorable more than anything. But sadly, we gotta get down from the dream scenario. We gotta get back to reality, and I'll ask the ever so generic question: where do you hope to see yourself in, say, 5 to 10 years from now?
That's a great question. One part of me is still with the Theorist team. I love this team so much, and I see myself growing with Theorist in the future because God, there are so many projects that we're working on, so
Oh, yeah.
many things that I would like to be more involved to bonding with the team, which is really fun. This team is really fun. Like it's just fun times. Besides that, probably trying to do something more serious, like on my own. I know that now I'm just fooling around with a visual novel that is gonna take forever, but it's been made and whatnot. But I'm expecting to be more serious about this. If people were not hiring me for not being on a video game before, I'm like, you know what, I want to do this for real. So in the next 5 to 10 years, I expect to develop something on my own. If I don't have a team, that's okay. I can try to do it myself, but be more serious about that goal. and for now I'm doing all of this in my free time because I don't know how am I doing this. I have like the concept of time that doesn't apply to Earth. I don't know. Don't ask me. Don't ask me.
Hey, I'm not questioning how time works up there for you in your office in the middle of nowhere. All right, I'm letting you do your thing.
Yeah, time works differently over here. But I am planning to be more serious about this because I always joke about this, and I always joke about, maybe one day I'm gonna do something on myself on my own. I want to be more serious with that goal. I want to be more serious with doing something that is gonna be, I don't know, playable, something interesting, something fun, or more than one thing. Because I don't need to only strive for only one thing. I can do plenty of them until I reach that point when I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is the thing I was looking for after all these years. And I am very, very patient with this kind of things. I don't like to rush things. I don't like to compare my journey to others because that's such a bad thing to do sometimes. It
Right.
just hurts you. It's good to admire other people's journeys and say, wow, that's amazing. But comparisons don't usually help too much to your psyche mentally, like to your mental health. So what I want to do is to follow my own path and do a lot of things until I reach the goal of maybe doing a video game for real. Like be serious about this, and as long as it takes, I want to make that happen. I just don't want to linger too much on it. I don't want to have too many doubts on that journey.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to do things.
That's valid. That's fair. I mean, honestly, seeing how far you've been able to come along just in the past 5 years, hell, the past year and a half or so alone, like if what you're saying is what you aspire for, just being able to grow more and learn more and do more at the end of the day. I think that's a good thing to aspire for at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a very simple goal. It's not like, oh, I inspired to create the new Tesla or whatever, which sucks. But whatever. The thing is, it, they don't have to be big goals, man.
No, they never have to be.
Yeah, you just have to live life and do what you want to do. And if you're dreaming of something that you think it's impossible, maybe learn the skills to get to that point and don't rush it. If you need a year to become an expert on Blender, just take that year. Learn every day a little bit until you feel confident. And then, I don't know, you need to learn, I don't know, management skills. Then learn those skills, take a course or something.
Yeah.
One of my latest traditions is every year I take a new art course. Even when I can learn these things on my own, I like to have a professional person guiding me through the process.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to CG Masters Academy like almost every year, and I
Okay.
take a new course that is more and more advanced. And even when I'm not like remotely like the best artist there, I am usually always on the lower scale. The underdog. I'm always like lower than everyone else. Everyone else's portfolios are insane. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna challenge myself, and I'm gonna try to get out of my comfort zone and learn something new. So I always try to learn something new every year, and I think that's a good goal to have. And all of these things are gonna come together to a bigger goal that is like, I don't know, create my own video game or something on those
Yeah.
regards. But I just don't like to rush the process, but I do like to keep moving forward constantly. I never stop. I always keep walking.
It's a good mentality to have at the end of the day.
Oh
As
yeah.
as we start to wind down the podcast, I just have one last question I want to ask you, Nomo. Obviously, you're deeply entrenched in art. You've been entrenched in art for like I said, as long as you can basically remember, 3 years old or whatnot. How important is art? Not just you, but for the world. Hell, how important is art for the universe as a whole?
Art has been a representation of the human soul and the human mind since forever. Since we were walking on two legs, we were living in caves. It has been something that has been on our mind since forever. And it's not something that you can get rid of all of a sudden. It's an expression of the human power. I uh, I am not like a conspiracy theorist or something, but I strongly believe that if there are things that represent humankind that are not technology, is art, is music, because that's the representation of the human soul. Is what we are, is our essence. And even if there are companies that are trying to wipe that off and say, "No, we're gatekeeping things," no, we're not. Our tools and things in our hands have been there since forever, since ageless times. And removing art, removing music, removing writing, poetry, all of that from our lives, it's like removing our humanity.
Right.
It's not just I'm doing a gig to pay the bills. If you can do that, that's amazing. Kudos on you. But the essence of art is the essence of humankind. And without that, it's like not being human anymore.
That is wonderfully worded, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't practicing, I promise. I didn't script this. It just came from my soul.
Hey, you know what? That's usually what I expect from the guests, and usually if it comes from the soul, that's when it's the most beautiful, because it's that raw emotion or that raw feeling about it more than anything else than just like some script that they practice like 20,000 times, you know?
No, yeah, I didn't prepare for this. But I usually think about this because I don't know, whenever you go to a doctor's appointment or your hands are shaking or you are seeing blurry, the first thing I think is not that, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to see. It's like I'm not gonna be able to do art anymore.
Right. Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, what am I gonna do next? What is gonna be of my life without art? It's not that, I'm not gonna be able to work anymore. Probably there are other systems to protect me economically or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
But the first thing that comes to my mind is that I'm not gonna be able to see art anymore or do art anymore. And I feel like it's only gonna go downhill from there, because if I cannot do art, if I cannot see, admire art, then what's next? So
Right.
that's the biggest fear. Every time I see the screen blurry and need to put my, I don't know, support glasses or something, sometimes it's like, am I gonna go blind one day? Am I gonna have my hands so shaky that I am not gonna be able to hold a pen with my hands? I would hold the pen with my mouth. I don't care.
There you go.
But with my foot, I don't. I am gonna do something that somehow. But yeah, like not creating art and not being able to express myself through art or seeing my pals' arts and everything online, or admire humankind's creativity with my eyes, is the ultimate eldritch horror for me. Not being able to do that anymore.
Well, hopefully it doesn't get to that point for you. I sincerely hope you get the opportunity to spend the rest of your time both creating fantastic art and experiencing incredible art in one way or another. With that, that's all the questions I have for you, Nomo. I've already showered you with a whole bunch of praise as is, but I want to shower you with a little bit more because it's my podcast. I do whatever I want.
Nah,
Um,
nah.
Look, like I said, when Openock first introduced you to me, I instantly said yes, and then I got a chance to really like explore your stuff, really get to see what you got a hand in, and I was just instantly amazed. Like I your art style alone is incredible, and especially like the attention to details and such. Like LoreFi alone is a really good example of that. I mean, hell, look at how you're presenting yourself now. Don't think I didn't notice the bisexual lighting in the background. All right.
Nah. That's also the colors of my hair.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I was gonna say
yeah,
like
yeah.
attention to detail like that and being able to like execute so well was something that I was just instantly amazed and impressed with. But now I got a chance to really like sit down, get to chat with you, hear about your story as a whole, hear about, your experiences and such, like whatever level of respect I've already had with you, like it's quantified to the nth degree. Like I you are doing a fantastic job with just about anything that you've been given, and you're continuing doing a fantastic job, and it makes me more or less like it makes me excited to see what's next. And on top of that, like hearing that what you're going to be doing next is working with people that you basically consider your family at this point, feeling right at home and doing fantastic stuff while also like getting yourself out of that comfort zone and really like taking up these new abilities and learning new stuff and really growing as an artist and as a person. If nothing else, that really showcases that, at least to me, that you truly have that love and passion for this field. And just knowing that alone lets me know that whatever you're going to be having a hand in the future, one way or another, is going to be absolutely fantastic and executed to the best of its ability. And it makes me excited to see what's going to be next, no matter what. The long and the short of it is, thank you for what you do. Thank you for putting yourself out there. Thank you for putting the time to create a quality product, but also thank you for really putting yourself out there and really letting people, whether they realize it or not, see kind of the love and passion you have for this stuff. And just know that love and passion is going to be shared with me, because I'm going to be rooting for you every single step of the way with whatever you're going to be doing next. So thank you.
Wow, you really left me speechless. Wow.
And just know, I did not write that down. I did not prepare that. That came from the soul as well.
Ah, nice. That's what we like to see.
Exactly.
But thank you. I want to thank you too for creating these instances for artists to express themselves and talk about our processes, our lives, and what we go through. Because let's face it, art, animation, music, writing, everything is so compromised. Everything has been so hard. More with the AI crap and all that.
Oh yeah.
And the industry is harder than ever. Like video games also don't have that easy. Animation usually doesn't have that easy either, and everything is so hard for us. It's like we are all fighting against a final boss at the same time, and it looks like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, like my last message is like, don't give up. Like, let's work together on this. We're not alone. Let's rely on each other a little bit more. If you are a big artist, support small artists. If you are a small artist, keep promoting yourself. Don't stop promoting yourself. Don't let anyone tell you to not draw fan art. Just go and do the thing that you love, that you're passionate about. As long as we are not hurting anyone, it's okay. Just go and put yourself out there. If there was a time to do that, it's now more than ever. Now that we are all fighting against the same final bosses, we need to support each other. This is all we can do.
It's one of those, when it comes to really getting a chance to showcase what you love and express yourself and really letting that creativity flow. Yesterday would have been good, but there's never been a better day than today to really put that stuff out there.
Exactly. And it's also about not giving up, because maybe that piece of art that I uploaded that day, it's not doing numbers, but you know what? Sometimes numbers are just that. Numbers.
Yeah. Oh, just keep... I was say, trust me, like with this podcast alone, like I put out like episode after episode, and like, I'd be lucky if episodes could hit like, 50 views or whatnot. But it's never been about the views for me. It's never been about the numbers for me. As much as I'd like to, it's about the conversations I get to have, just like the conversation I just had with you. It means a lot to me, and hopefully that out of the select few, views out there, people are able to take something from that conversation and put it into their own artwork and put into to their own process as well.
Look, even if our voices only reach one person, that's one person that's probably going to be inspired, and their life is going to change somehow. It's not going to be the same afterwards. And even if it's just one, that's enough.
Exactly. Now, if you want to reach to that one person, or maybe a whole lot more, if you want people to understand why I've been gushing about you this entire time, go ahead and plug your stuff for the people at home.
Oh, wow, I have no plugs. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Christ. Okay. So I have only my Twitter account is the real underscore whatever DasGnomo, at real DasGnomo. I just post like random drawings and such in there. I have my official website, which is www.dasgnomo.com. I just have my portfolio in there. Boring portfolio stuff. Just watch it if you like that. But most of all, support our LoreFi project, which is at LoreFi Music on YouTube. It's really good, amazing project. It's a project of love and passion. A small group of people, but very skilled and awesome people. MatPat's Love project. So give it a look, have fun. Don't ask us for clues on Twitter. We're not going to answer, dude. The main thing is that you need to go and play the game and have fun. That's it. But yeah, like if you want to follow me, just go to Twitter at real DasGnomo. I'm going to be there. I usually answer all the comments. I am very approachable. And if you ever have any questions about, I don't know, if you want me to review any portfolio, if you want any feedback or something, since I was a professor, that's also on me. And you can easily reach me by a comment and ask me, and I will always answer.
Well, there you go. And if you missed any links, I'll be sure to put them in the description below.
God, thank you.
You are more than welcome. Do you have any final words before we sign off?
That's probably the hardest question you have ever asked me in the entire meeting. In the entire conversation, that's probably the hardest question. Support animators, support artists, support human artists. This is a hard time for all of us, but we're together in this. If you feel like you are alone out there fighting against this, we are together with you. Like, even if we are vocal about this or not, we're all in the same boat, and we are hoping to achieve some kind of conclusion to this situation as soon as possible. But for now, keep hanging in there. I know the world is hard, and the arts are not being super appreciated lately, but you need to know that you are representing humankind with this. Art is part of your soul. Art is part of being human, and they cannot suppress that.
Absolutely. That is wonderful words to end by. And with that, all I have left to say is for the people at home, if you can, please pay your artists.
Yeah, pay them.
If not, the Eldritch Horror will get you. No, I'm just...
Yeah, I will. I do, and I will. I will now.
There we
I will tell Santa.
I'll tell Santa.
Yeah, I'll tell Santa. I have it on my phone right now. Just one quick call.
Tell me what's wrong, tell me it's parts in motion. Sing me a song, tell me your eyes can all open. Show me it all, put me up in the car, you go when you used to call. Show me it all.
Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If this is your first time listening, I greatly do appreciate it. Like I said in the intro, this was a chaotic but fun episode to have. Nomo, if you've gotten up to this point, genuinely thank you for taking the time to do this. This was an absolute blast, and I'm so glad that I got to meet you. It's episodes like this that amazes me, the kind of connections I'm able to make. Because I honestly never would have even considered doing an episode like this if it wasn't for my good buddy Openak for recommending me the episode. The episode. The guest, not the episode. I did the episode. Openak did not recommend me this guest. So Openak, if you've gotten to this point, thank you for sticking up to here, and thank you so much for making that recommendation. But like I've spouted about this before on previous episodes, at least in this little bit right here. But like the connections I have been able to make thanks to this podcast absolutely amaze me. I mean, some of the bigger guests that I've been able to have on this podcast, Senor Palo, The Odd Ones Out, DasGnomo for this one, would not have ever happened if it wasn't for, like, me knowing a person here and there. That I've been lucky and honored to know. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate when people have that recommendation of like, hey, I think it'd be incredible if such and such was on the podcast. I can't guarantee I can get to everyone, but, I like hearing back from both my friends and from the community. If there are people, if there are artists that you think deserve the opportunity to be on here and that would love an opportunity to talk about their stuff, don't hesitate to recommend them to me. Again, I can't guarantee I can get to everyone, or I can't guarantee I'll remember to get to them, but I do want to be exposed to new artists in one form or fashion. The thing about DasGnomo is, like, before Openak even said anything to me, I didn't really think much about who was the artist for Team Theorist and such. I'm so glad that I got introduced to an artist like that. Tipsy has introduced me to so many different artists on this podcast, and I appreciate every new one that she recommends me, like, hey, you should get such and such on the podcast, or you should get this person on the podcast, you should get that person on the podcast. I mean, hell, one of the guests that I am planning on interviewing is actually one that Tipsy recommended me not too long ago, so I will definitely keep y'all in the loop when that comes. But at the end of the day, the people I've been able to meet, thanks to the other people that I've met before, it just really drives home this whole entire thought of community that I've been able to encourage with this podcast. And I think both the people that are currently in the community and the people that could potentially be in the community. I thank you guys for showing that love and support and giving me your time at the end of the day. It leads to what I've said, for a good couple weeks before and such, that I'm truly honored to even know any of you guys and to consider you a part of this little postmodern art podcast community. It really does blow my mind, and I cannot thank y'all enough. And keep that community growing. Like let's get more people invested. Let's show the world how incredible some of these artists are, because they deserve that love and support from this community.